was a computer science graduate that joined the banking industry over 30 years ago. And after 30-odd years, I decided that banking was broken and we needed to start from scratch. I headed ABN AMRO and RBS's transaction banking business of over 30, 40 countries, and I was latterly Chief Operating Officer for Allied Irish Banks in Dublin. I came to the conclusion that I'd fought very, very hard to protect a model that was fundamentally broken. There's no way I could transform the organizations I was working at, and there was no way that we were ever going to satisfy the demands of consumers. So in 2014, I quit my job to start a bank. But the vision was a bit more than just buying a banking package and being a traditional bank. My vision was to build an organization that was technology first, that was engineering led, that built technology from the ground up. And above and beyond that, I really wanted to deliver the lowest cost delivery of the product by having direct access into all the payment schemes in Europe. And then, on top of that, a customer experience like no other. It was quite difficult. Back in 2014, nobody believed that this could be done. But 18 months ago, we got our banking license, and we launched into the app stores early this year. We now have a retail banking proposition in the UK. We passported into Ireland, and we're starting our European expansion from there. We direct members of Faster Payments in the UK, one of only 3 banks able to sponsor other banks into the system, and the only bank with a real-time access. We're currently doing that in Europe, and we're sponsored by the Central Bank of Ireland into SEPA and Target 2. So, what is Starling all about in its retail proposition? Well, what we do is we believe in data is everything, and that data belongs to the consumer. We're MasterCard issuers, we're members of the payment schemes, and we collect lots of data around every single transaction. And with the help of machine learning and artificial intelligence, we get insight from that data to help customers on their financial journey. And we share that data, if the customer permissions it, with partners in a marketplace. We're the first bank in Europe to have PSD2 compliant open banking APIs. And those APIs are so powerful that the UK government, Department of Work and Pension, chose us to provide their payments infrastructure as part of the new implementation of universal credits. So what we are is a retail proposition based on a totally new infrastructure, providing day-to-day services for consumers, giving insights and allowing those consumers to share their data with the people they want to see that data, and only those people in a marketplace. And all that is compliant with PSD2, the most important piece of legislation that's going through Europe at present. And I spent a lot of time talking to people from my own old industry, which basically look at us and say, okay, will PSD2 happen? And if PSD2 happens, the big banks are going to be threatened. You could have a Barclays front end with an HSBC count in the back end. You could have that mix and match, a plug and play, the breaking down of the value chain and putting it together in a new way. But the front end may not be a bank. It could be a social media company. This new set of legislation breaks up banking in a whole new way, and is the biggest threat to incumbent banks, and it's a far bigger threat than small fintechs. So what are we doing at Starling? We have a retail banking proposition. We also have euro accounts and multi-currency accounts coming in the first quarter of next year. On top of that, we have business banking arriving at the end of the first quarter. All that sits upon a new infrastructure and something called Starling Payment Services, where we provide payment services to large banks, governments, and many of the fintechs actually here today. And we provide in those services real time, as opposed to the current agency banks that actually do it on a very convoluted way. And we provide in those services at market-beating costs. So we're the start of a transformation of the transaction banking industry, as well as the consumer fintech world. I'm often asked, what is Starling? What are we trying to be? And I try to explain it in this way. We have a full banking license. And a full banking license means that you have access to retail deposits, corporate deposits, as well as being able to access payment schemes around the world. We have a fully launched consumer product. We have a live marketplace that's PSD2 compliant, which is rather unique. And we have the regulatory permissions for various other financial services undertakings in Europe. We're banking as a platform, and we have full integration with Apple Pay, Android Pay, and other devices such as Fitbit Pay. And we're also multi-currency. But we, as an individual bank, cannot change the whole system. We'll only do it with other people that play in the marketplace with us. And what we have is a number of people who are coming to market at the same time, all providing parts of these services. We've heard from number 26. We've heard from, and we'll soon hear from, people like Revolut and others. But what we do is provide the banking platform that supports many fintechs, and we also take that very seriously. In such respect, we compete against people like Solaris. In the multi-currency world, we compete against people such as Revolut. And of course, we have our retail proposition. All this together with the other people here today, speaking at this conference, are a viable alternative and threat to incumbent banks. Finally, I'd like to talk about the conversations I have with my old friends in banking. I had a budget of nearly 900 million for technology in one of my old jobs. And they're aghast to understand how we can now build things so quickly and efficiently. We've only spent 18 million to date. That is unprecedented. This industry is all about innovation. It's about understanding regulation. It's about integrating with the things that are out there and tackling complex things with confidence. We're now starting the process of rolling out across Europe. And the market is competitive, but that's good. Because together, we can change the face, the competitors in the financial service environment. This afternoon, later this afternoon, I'll have a meeting with one of the top 25 banks in the world. We'll come in to see us, to see if we can support their payments initiative. New technology, banking licenses, integration into payments, and a belief that people deserve a better banking experience is what our organization and many of the people here today are all about. Thank you very much.